If you don't like rugged, tactical tool watches, you're not gonna like the chronographs that I have to show you today. I have two different versions. One is an automatic chronograph that is powered by a Valjoux movement, and the other is a more affordable version with a mecha-quartz movement and a fully loomed dial. They are from the brand Draken, and they only make serious tool watches. So let's flip the camera and take a look at two really rugged titanium chronographs. These are two very serious chronographs at two different price points. Actually, very different price points, because the one in my right hand is the automatic version powered by a 7750 Valjoux movement made by ETA. And then, of course, the one in my left hand is the mecha-quartz version. So this is getting a Seiko movement inside. I believe this one is the VK63, but everything else is pretty similar. They are very similar watches, so it all depends on whether or not you need an automatic movement. If you don't, you will actually get a thinner watch. They look a little bit different. However, if you want this in a black dial, it does come in a black dial, so it would look a lot more like the automatic. Both of these are in titanium with an extra hard coating, so this is grade 2 titanium, and you are getting an extra hard coating. The entire watch is media blasted. So the bracelet, the clasp, the case, everything that you see, everything that you touch is media blasted. On the white version, you have black for the indices. Those are not loomed because you do get a fully loomed dial on here, so it acts as a negative effect so that you can see the time in the dark. And then on the black dial, the automatic version, you are getting white lume, white hands. On the black version, you're getting very large hands. Those are filled with lume. And I believe the lume is pretty good on both of these watches. Well, obviously, especially the fully loomed dial. You are getting a ceramic bezel insert, and there are a few choices of bezels. So there is a 12-hour bezel, which you do not see here, and then there is a countdown bezel and a diver bezel. So you could actually choose which one you want. So when you're choosing the color of the dial that you want, you could also choose the bezel insert, which is pretty nice. They don't normally offer that for most watches, so that is definitely something that is welcome. You do get a day date on the Valjoux movement because the Valjoux 7750 does have a day date function that is at the 3 o'clock position, so this one does get that, while the VK63 does not, but you do have a date, and that is at the 6 o'clock position. It is color matched to the dial, however it is not loomed, so when you are in the dark and the dial is loomed, you will not be able to see the date. There is a little bit of color on both of these watches. It's the chronograph hand, red on that Valjoux movement version, and then blue, it's like a light blue on the VK63 version. Also, something that is, of course, very welcome, both of these get screwed in crowns with lume in the crown, which is kind of interesting. You get screwed links and on-the-fly micro adjust. So you are getting a titanium clasp on here that does have on-the-fly micro adjust, and it's a pretty simple system that I have seen before. It's just the tab version. You pull the tab and you are able to pull out the micro adjust. You could push it back in. And it's not incredibly smooth, but this is a titanium watch, and usually on titanium watches, it's a little bit more difficult, but it's definitely easy to use and feels really nice. And I gotta say, it looks really nice because it definitely plays the part. It is signed with the Draken name right there. All right, on there, it's etched into the clasp on both of them, which, of course, I really like. And then on the case back, there is a rhinoceros. I believe that's a rhinoceros, because this is, I believe this pays tribute to some park rangers that are responsible for conservation of animals, of certain animals that are endangered. So this pays tribute to the region where they are located. I believe that is called Kruger. That's why both of these watches are called the Kruger. Both of these watches are 43.9 millimeters at the bezel, slightly smaller at the case. However, you do get crown guards on both of these watches, so I would say it wears like a 44 millimeter chronograph. This one is 15.5 millimeters thick. That's because you do have that automatic movement inside the Valjoux 7750, which is a Swiss-made chronograph movement. You have a lug-to-lug of around 49 millimeters. You also get 100 meters of water resistance. That is pretty good for a chronograph. Not all chronographs get 100 meters of water resistance, so that is excellent. I really like the fully lume dial. This version with the fully lume dial I think looks really good. You get the same bracelet on this version. You get the same case. You get the same bezel with the ceramic insert. I don't know if that bezel is lume. We'll do a lume shot towards the end. You get quick release, solid links, screwed links like I was saying. 100 meters of water resistance as well. This gets a 49 millimeter lug to lug. You do have female end links, so this will wear exactly as it should at 49 millimeters. And again, this is a 43.9 millimeter watch, so basically a 44 millimeter watch. Everything is essentially the same on this watch as it is on the automatic version, but again, this one is thicker with a slightly different chronograph setup, slightly different dial, but everything else is pretty much, the components here are pretty much the same. On wrist today, I have a very strange watch, one of my strangest watches, and I have a lot of weird watches. This is a watch that has a case made out of meteorite. So the entire case is made out of meteorite except for the case back. Also, this gets a jump hour movement, dragging minutes, and running seconds, and it's all displayed in that large window for a jump hour that is pretty large, and it has a little dome sapphire crystal over it. It is just a really cool watch. 120 hours of power reserve. Beautiful movement. Really cool watch. And there is the quartz version on my 7.5 inch wrist. Like I was just saying before, 44 millimeters, essentially 49 millimeter lug to lug, and this one gets a 12.5 millimeter thickness. Sapphire crystal is slightly domed on this one. This one gets a fully lumed dial. We will do a lume shot in just a few minutes. I think it looks great on my 7.5 inch wrist. And there is the big boy on my 7.5 inch wrist. This is around 15.5 millimeters thick. It's the exact same size as the other watch, basically in measurement, but it does look larger because you do have that extra thickness. You could see on my 7.5 inch wrist, it just appears larger. It has more wrist presence than that thinner quartz version, mecha-quartz version. This is 44 millimeters, and you have a 49 millimeter lug to lug. Like I said, exactly the same as the mecha-quartz version. Well, there you go. You can see that everything is lumed here. It is very brightly lumed. Even on the automatic version, which is not a fully lumed dial, it is excellent. It looks really good. All the bezels are lumed, so I assume all the bezels are lumed. I don't have the 12-hour bezel here, but I would assume that that one is also lumed. The fully lumed version obviously is very brightly lumed. You don't have a lumed date, but everything else is lumed, and you can see that your watch is working in the dark very easily because basically the running seconds hand and of course the seconds hand on the chronograph is basically passing along over that lume surface, and you can see that it's working. And then the automatic version, which is not a fully lume dial, has of course a lume bezel. All of the indices are filled with lume. The hands are liberally applied with lume. There is lume on the seconds hand at the 9 o'clock, so you could see that your watch is working in the dark. I like it. It looks great. I think both of the watches are pretty damn awesome. You can get these on the bracelet if you want. So if you don't want the bracelet, they are a little bit cheaper, around $462 for the fully lume version. You can get that with a black dial as well. That's around $460 some odd dollars if you get it on a strap. If you want it on the bracelet, as you see it with the titanium bracelet, it's $548. The automatic version is $1,650 if you want it on a strap. So that is a NATO strap, I believe, that they give you. If you want it on the bracelet, as you see it, it's $1,731. It does seem like a lot of money for the automatic version, but when you consider the whole entire package, this is a really cool watch for that price. $500 and change, almost $600 for the quartz version. The mecha-quartz version is definitely a bargain. These are very rugged, very good looking, tactical chronographs that obviously are very well made as well. I definitely recommend these watches. I think they're awesome. Check them out. If you want something very special, go for the automatic. If you want to save a little bit of money, or actually a lot of money, just go for the mecha-quartz. It's awesome. It is really, really good. And it almost looks exactly the same. The only person that's going to know that you're wearing the quartz version is you, really, because no one's going to actually know. And when I saw both of these, I immediately thought they were mechanical because they just give the vibe that they are mechanical, robust, mechanical watches. I don't know why, but that's how I feel. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. What do you think of these two watches? What do you think of the automatic version? What do you think of the mecha-quartz version? Which one would you buy? Tell me down in the comment section below. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. I'll put a link to this watch, to both of these watches, down in the description below. Definitely check them out if you are interested. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. Thank you for watching this video. I will catch you guys in the next video.